Hey everyone, Carlton here. In this video, I want to talk about why I had to sell my Insta360 Luna Ultra. Let's get it started. So I bought the Luna Ultra used. As soon as it came out, I found it on Amazon Marketplace and I jumped on it and I got it for about 500 bucks. So I got it, I was pretty excited to test it out. After watching other people's videos on this camera, a lot of it is sponsored, and they're not exactly telling you the truth about the downsides of this camera. They're only telling you about the upsides, the pros, everything is so great, but that's why it's important to watch channels that are not sponsored, that are just going to tell you the truth, just like my channel. So I'm going to tell you the cons of this camera and why I had to send it back. So first thing is that everything is not bad. There's a lot of good things about this camera. But for my workflow, I use this, I shoot at weddings, and I have the Pocket 3, I have the Action 5, and I have my Sony cameras. Right now I'm shooting on my Sony a7 IV. I also have the Pocket 3 shooting right next to it. And I have a7S III, I have a bunch of cameras, right? So I just like getting cameras and using them in different unconventional ways. So for these type of pocket cameras, I've been using the Pocket 3, putting it high up into the air, shooting down, getting a wide shot of crowds. Also, during the ceremony, I use it to get a wide shot of whatever's going on in the ceremony. So that's basically how I use it. So far, the Pocket 3 has worked really well. I like how the image quality is. It's really good. Even in situations where the lighting is not great, the Pocket 3 is just a great camera. I wanted to get the Pocket 4P because of the dual lens, but that's not being sold in the US. And if you go to eBay, the price is just really high. So I decided to try the Luna Ultra, and this is my first Insta360 camera. Soon after getting this camera, I became very disappointed because of all the issues. Let's get into it right now. So the first thing I realized was I like to shoot in a lot. Okay, when I shoot in the Action 5, when I'm shooting in any other of my cameras, I like shooting a lot because I like to be able to adjust the image in my editing software to get it exactly how I want it. And when I try to shoot this in a lot, it does work, but problem is it doesn't have color recovery. And color recovery is just the camera showing you what the image is going to look like when you put the lot on inside your editing software. But apparently Insta360 decided to leave that out. Now, as I'm shooting this video, that issue has been fixed with an update. So a firmware update they released, and now there is color recovery. I'm just mentioning it because it's part of my annoyance with this camera and this company, Insta360. So I don't understand how a company like Insta360 could develop a camera like this. Obviously, they're trying to compete with DJI, the Pocket 3, the Pocket 4, and now the Pocket 4P, right? And when you look at those cameras, the Pocket 3 has color recovery in it, and that camera has been out for years. So how did Insta360 develop this camera to compete with DJI and yet left out the color recovery? How did that even happen? It just absolutely makes no sense, and it shows that more than likely Insta360, they just rush this camera to the market in order to kind of beat DJI to the punch. I think that's exactly what happened. And in doing that, they just half-baked it. This is the perfect term for this camera. It's half-baked. It's not finished. And it seems like the people who buy it first, people like me and different other people who have bought it, we're like the beta testers. Now I'm thinking a company like Insta360, they have a big crew, right? And they have engineers and all that to test these cameras, right, before they release it. And even after the engineers test everything out, they also send the cameras out to the influencers, people that they pay or they give a free camera to give their biased opinion, right? Maybe the engineers didn't see the problem. They didn't see the mistakes, which is total BS, right? And what about the influencers? I'm sure they saw it while they were shooting. So I would think that after the influencers tell Insta360, hey, this is what's wrong with this camera, this is the thing you could improve, you think they would have fixed the issues and then released the camera. But apparently, they just released the camera with all the bugs and all the issues And now people like me, very frustrated, and many other people that bought the camera, I'm sure, besides the fanboys, the people that's real are frustrated by this camera with all the problems we have. So that was one issue that is fixed by a firmware. But there are many other issues that has not been fixed, and I have no idea when it's going to be fixed. And that's the reason I am selling this. Like later today, I'm going to be selling this camera. I just cannot take the amount of bugs that comes with this camera. So let's talk about another issue we have. Another issue is overheating. Many people have reported that in 4K 60, this camera overheats soon. Sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. It all depends on where you are and how hot it is, but that's not good. And I understand this is something I could kind of forgive because I know it's a pretty small camera. I know it's difficult to get these cameras to work. But the Pocket 3, when I shoot at 460, and even in hot environments, I haven't had any problems with the Pocket 3 from DJI. So the fact that this one is overheating so fast is cause to concern. When I take a camera out, I'm at a wedding or whatever I'm shooting, I don't want to have to worry about if it's going to overheat. And so that's another issue. Not a big issue for me, but it is an issue. And for some other people, it could be a big issue, right? So another issue with this camera is that it shoots in straight 24p. So most cameras, when it says 24p, it's actually shooting in 23.976. But Insta360 decided to put straight 24p in this camera. So when you're trying to match these cameras up, right? You're trying to blend this camera with the Pocket 3 or with your Sony cameras or your Canon cameras, whatever it is, you might have an issue with drop frames because one is 23.976, which is most cameras, and the other one is straight 24p, which is the Insta360 Luna. So it's just like, what is going on over there at Insta360? Like, why would they put straight 24p and no option for 23.976? I just feel like so annoyed just by that. Like, why is Insta360 doing this stuff? Because they have other cameras, right, with 23.976, and they have other cameras with the color recovery built in. So why would they release this camera without those features? It just annoys me so much. It makes me just want to get rid of the camera, and that's exactly what I'm doing, right? So let's talk about a major problem I had using this camera with the app. So I was at a wedding and I set the camera up high and I pull out the app so I can adjust everything that I wanted, right? Because the camera is high up in the air. I opened the app, I set everything up, I press record, I'm thinking everything is great. So I closed the app and I went ahead and I'm shooting with my Sony cameras. This camera is just a wide shot. So I came back after about half hour or something like that, and I look at the camera and it's off. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, how is it off? And apparently, when you close the app, the camera stops recording. Do you believe that? Like, when I use the Pocket 3 and I close the app, the camera still keeps rolling. When I use the Action 5 Pro, close the app, the camera keeps rolling. But with the Luna Ultra, if you close the app, the camera stops recording. So that was a huge issue, and I just couldn't believe it. I thought it was my mistake, and then after I tested it out, I realized that's the feature that they have built into it. And that was very annoying. So now I can't use the app, because once I use the app and I press record, I got to keep the app open. Like, how am I going to keep the app open while I'm shooting? Like, I'm going to put my phone on the ground and leave it on so it can keep the connection with the camera? Makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand the engineers that developed this. It makes no sense. That's a big issue for me. So let's talk about another big issue. This camera has a detachable screen. You take it off and you can see right here. And this screen is good and bad, but we're talking about the bad today, right? So when you turn this on, okay, I just turned it on and it comes on. And sometimes when you're right next to the camera, like it could be right now, it's working fine. But sometimes you're right next to it and it's showing that the signal is not good. Right next to it. So apparently the transmitter that they built into this screen is very weak. So that if you're in a place where there's different Wi-Fi signals around, it will affect this because this is so weak. And that was a huge annoyance trying to use it with the screen. So when that happens, right, when that signal is not good, it shows a very pixelated image. And you can still see the image, but the controls are going to be delayed and it's just not going to be good. So that's one issue with the screen. Another issue with the screen is that this screen, there's no way to power this screen unless it's attached to the body. So once it's attached to the camera here, camera battery charges this screen because this screen has a small battery in it. So Insta360 didn't put a USB-C charging port here so that we can charge this independently from the camera. So in my situation, the way I shoot, I put this camera pretty high up in the air and I take the screen off and I have the screen with me. So if I'm shooting for like an hour or more, this screen, the battery is going to go dead. And then it becomes a big problem. Now, if they had included a USB charging port, I could have put this on a power bank, keep this charged indefinitely. I could put a power bank on the camera, keep that charged indefinitely, and I could basically shoot for hours without an issue. Unfortunately, the only way to charge this is on the body. So they created something useful and then they cripple it by not putting a charging port. Now, maybe Insta360 could create a charging port that could then go to a USB-C connector. But I don't know if they're going to do that. And if they're going to do that, I don't know when they're going to do it. And I can't sit around and wait for them to create a charging port for this because that might take years. So that, for me, is a huge issue for my workflow. I know if you're somebody who's vlogging and you're not really removing the screen, not often, or not for a long time, then this is not an issue for you. But for me, as a filmmaker, I shoot weddings, I shoot many different things. This feature needed to have a way to power it when it's not connected to the camera. So that is a huge, huge con for me. Let's talk about another issue that should have never been an issue, because Insta360 doesn't have an easy way to save presets on this camera. You have to use the app and then scan the app with the camera. It's so convoluted. It's just the worst way to implement saving presets. So when I'm using the Pocket 3 or the Action 5, it's very easy to save a preset. It takes like 2 seconds. And with Insta360, they give you a long, long way in order to save a preset. And then the problem is, even when you save the preset, all the settings won't be saved. So something as simple as saving a preset becomes a huge problem with this camera. And as you can see with these issues, Insta360 has really dropped the ball because DJI products have been banned in the US. So this was the perfect opportunity for Insta360 to gain a market share and really, get a lot of customers. And I think they really failed. They really dropped the ball. Another issue is the lack of exposure feedback. So on my Sony camera, I have zebras. And zebras, they show me when my image is overexposed and I could adjust. And this camera does not have it. I believe you can go into the app and maybe it's in the app, but on the camera itself, there's no way to see that. In all fairness, the DJI cameras also do not have it. In order to see the zebras, you have to open the app. You can't just look at the camera. There's no feature to see it directly on the camera. I don't know how these companies, DJI and Insta360, could release these cameras with something that's so easy to implement, which is zebras. And that's been on cameras for ages now, right? That option. And they only implement it through the app, which is just, I don't understand why. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is image quality. And this camera has fallen short of standard image quality. So when I compare this camera to the Pocket 3, the Pocket 3 image is definitely better. It's definitely more sharp, more detailed, and everything like that. Another issue is when you go into auto ISO. Like when you're shooting these cameras, right? You sometimes you want to shoot in auto, and when you put it in auto ISO, the image becomes soft. And I don't know what they're doing with this camera. I think it's a lot of noise reduction and all that, but the image is not good. It's not for professional use. So that's a huge issue for me, because remember, I'm pairing these cameras with Sony cameras, so I need the image, at least the sharpness and all that, to be comparable or close to it. And I was not happy once I saw the video that's coming out of this. Sometimes it's sharp, sometimes it's not. So it's like the camera is really half-baked. It's not well developed, it's not good. When you're shooting in 8K, the image looks bad. Bad. It looks like, I don't know, 480p. I don't want to exaggerate, but it just doesn't look good. It looks soft. It looks worse than 4K. So the 8K image is not good. This has an independent zoom rocker, which is great because the DJI cameras don't have that. But when you zoom in on the DJI cameras, it's definitely smoother than this. You see, there's like a huge delay. Like I'm zooming in and out, and it's a delay of when I zoom in, zoom out. So that's an issue. And this zoom rocker, I don't know if this is going to last. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But you can hear it's all mixed noise. It feels like it's well built. But I'm not sure if it's going to last or not. And there are other issues with this camera that people are complaining about that doesn't really bother me as much. And one of those is like when you zoom in from the wide lens to the telephoto lens, there's a jump. Like when it's switching to the second lens, there's a kind of a jump. And I think on iPhones, I don't remember seeing a jump with those, but I haven't really tested the iPhone because the iPhone has like 3 different cameras and you could zoom in. But with this camera, you see the cameras are side by side, right? So once it switched from one to the next, there's obviously going to be a jump. I don't know how the iPhone does it. If it's smooth, I'm not sure. But with this, it seems like once it gets to the jump, there's a little jerk. And for me, I'm not going to nitpick on that. I mean, you know, it's hard to design a camera like this to get a smooth zoom between two cameras. That's not exactly in the same spot. So I understand that. What I would do is like, if I'm shooting a zoom, and when the jump happens, that's where I'm going to put like a jump cut. So I would do the jump myself. I would get to that point and I would jump the footage straight in. But if you want a nice smooth zoom all the way through, it's not going to work with this camera. It's not. There's other issues people are complaining about, and I am not going to get into every single nitpicky issue with the camera because there's no perfect camera. The Pocket 3 is not perfect. Had my little issues with it. But the main thing about the Pocket 3 is that the image quality is great. All the normal things that should happen with the camera is there. So it's really a great camera. So moving forward, I'm going to be selling this. Probably later today, I'm going to get rid of it. If these issues are fixed with this camera, like firmware updates and they fix it, I'm going to repurchase it if the issues are fixed. But the problem, I don't want to keep this camera and then it goes down in value, because the longer you keep a camera, the value goes down. And as the value goes down, I'm going to lose the money that I spend on it. Now I could sell this camera for even more than I bought it for, and I can make a profit, a small profit, right? Or I can sell it for the same price. But if I wait a couple months and Insta360 have not fixed all the issues with this camera, the value of this camera is going to drop. And then I wouldn't be able to sell it or make a profit. So I need to sell it right now. And if they fix everything, I'll just go on Marketplace and I'll just buy it again for a discounted price. I'm very, very disappointed in Insta360 for releasing this camera before they iron out all the bugs. I feel like they sell this camera is selling for $769 plus tax, so it's about $800. And for the amount of money that is, they should have taken their time and released a good camera. I feel like they really dropped the ball because this was a perfect opportunity for Insta360 to steal, market share from DJI, because DJI cameras are banned in the US. And so the Pocket 4 and Pocket 4P, especially the 4P, you can't get it in the US. It's not even released in the US. You can get it in China. You can probably get it in other places around the world, but in the US you can't get it. So in the US, Insta360 could have used that to their advantage, released a good camera without so many bugs, and it would have sold like hotcakes. Everybody would have bought it, right? And forget about DJI. But now, a lot of people are selling it or returning this camera so they can save up the money and wait to buy the Pocket 4P. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Once I'm able to get my hands on the Pocket 4P, I'm gonna definitely get it because there's a lot of tricks that I want to do. There's a lot of things I wanted to do with this camera, but I lost all joy to shoot with this. There's so many ideas I had to use the zoom lens and the wide lens and different things in my head. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get to events to try this out and try that out. But I'm not gonna waste my time shooting creative stuff and then when I get home, the image quality is not good. I just can't do it. So I'm waiting for the 4P because with the Pocket 3, I only use it for wide shots, up high and all that, right? With the 4P now, I can use it for wide and telephoto, and I can do a lot of different things with it. So I'm just so excited to get that camera. It might be months before I get my hands on it. It might be a year, I have no idea. But whenever I get it, I'm gonna share. So don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this camera. Let me know if the issues that I'm having is valid, or if I'm being over the top, or if I'm being nitpicky. And if you're having other problems with this camera, also put it in the comments so everybody could know, because a lot of people are propping up this camera and saying it's so great and all of that. But as we know that there's a lot of problems with it. Those people are lying. Those people are being paid by Insta360, and DJI is doing the same thing. You know, having people put out the camera saying everything is great, but everything is not so great, right? So for me, it's a no. I'm gonna send this back and I'm gonna continue shooting with the cameras that I have. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.